Hi everyone, I'm Jordan Liker, and this is my digital content comparison and the discussion of the similarities and differences between my district, Manhattan-Ogden USD 383, and that of the 2019 K-12 Digital Content Report. And looking at the first bit of data, the digital content usage, my district has a lot of similarities with that of the survey results. We have a large portion of our teachers that use digital content, but one notable difference is the teachers that do not use digital content. And looking at the data from my district, we have less teachers than the survey that use digital content, and we have a much greater percentage of teachers that do not use digital content, nor do they plan to in the future, nor do they have any plans to add that into their curriculum. And looking at some of the other bits of data in the report and how they compare to my district, in the average allocation of instructional materials, my district is almost exactly opposite of that of the surveyed districts. We spend a large portion of our budget on digital content. Actually, about 60% of our instructional materials budget goes to digital content. These numbers were derived through interviews with my district's curriculum directors. So we actually spend more on digital content than we do on print materials, kind of opposite of what the other surveyed districts do on average. And so we actually, my district, USD 383, is actually in the top third when compared to other schools in their spending on digital content. They're most similar to about 22% of the districts across the nation that were surveyed. And so we spend more of their instructional materials budget than about 54% of the districts that were surveyed. And the average allocation of library media materials budget, we're fairly similar, but we don't spend quite as much on digital content as other surveyed districts do or buildings do. We're about at an 80-20 ratio, so about 20% of the money that is allocated for library media materials is used for digital content, and some of that is just due to the cost. Most of the money is used on print materials, just because it's more cost effective for our district to do at this time. Our district gets about $20 per student allocated to spend on library media materials budget each year. The proportion of the budget that's used for the digital library and media materials, and like I said, we're very similar to some of the other districts. We're not too far off here. We're most similar to about 32% of the districts surveyed, so we're actually in the top category of the survey results as well. And the amount of school instructional budgets for both print and digital, being a 6A district in the state of Kansas, we have fairly large schools, so we're actually kind of in the mid-range right now at the school level. At the school level, we have, for example, my building has 36,700 or an average of 36,700 per building, and my building has slightly more than that, but the district allocates about $77 per student for building level instructional materials. And so we're similar to about 21% of the districts surveyed, which is actually the top percentage in the survey, and we spend more than about a third of the school or district surveyed. And looking at the district level on instructional materials budgets, we spend about $500,000 a year. Or we have a budget of about $500,000 a year to spend, but that value is based on the size of districts, and so bigger districts are going to spend more on that in most cases, and smaller districts are going to have less than that. And most of those fees most of that money is generated through textbook fees that parents pay when they enroll their students each year. There are times when that money is not spent. If we have a curriculum adoption that is coming up that is going to cost more, then we're going to maybe skip a year and put that money aside and then combine it with multiple years at a time. For example, that's what had to be done here recently when we did an English language arts curriculum adoption. It cost $1.2 million for grades 5 through 12 for my district, and so we had to save for multiple years in order to have that adoption take place. And looking at The subject areas where digital content is used. In my district, it is not quite the same as the survey results. In the English language arts, science, and social studies of the teachers that completed the survey, they reported that 100% of them actually used digital content in one form or another. Math, however, was much lower than the survey results were. We had also had special education and some electives that actually used it at a higher rate than the survey as well. So some notable differences there. Math is currently not using much digital content in my building, and so they really are straight out of books usually, and so therefore the amount of digital content that they use on a daily basis is relatively small. And the use of digital content in literacy areas, uh, it's about almost a 50-50 split in my district of whether teachers are looking for digital content to support literacy. And ones that they do, they are using that to support struggling readers. And looking at the devices that are used, my district is really tablets and iPads. We've recently are in the process of going one-to-one with iPads for grades 5 through 12. And so iPads, tablets, they are really the number one device that teachers and students use on a daily basis. The ones that aren't, the laptops and desktop PCs, a lot of those deal with specific classes that only have those in the rooms. And looking at the top factors in a vendor selection and talking with the administration of my district, several categories kind of arose that really the top concerns or what they really look for vendors in selecting vendors was how the digital content will work with the existing technology in the classroom and the ease of its implementation. There also focuses on being able to provide personalized learning that is high quality, but is also cost effective. And so those were the main categories that our administration looks at in adopting new curriculum or looking at vendors for digital content. And in looking at the teachers' results for our district, we have the majority of our teachers are currently looking for digital content. Over 60% of our teachers are looking for digital content to use in the classroom, with most of those, the highest percentage of those being language arts or reading teachers. We also have a high number of some other classes, being social studies, the library media, the special education, but this is still lower than what the survey results indicated from the nationwide survey. And looking at the school-based one-to-one, my district is currently in the process of going one-to-one. Currently, we are one-to-one with iPads in grades 5 through 8, but plan on being one-to-one in grades 5 through 12 by August of 2021. And so basically what is happening is each semester a new grade is getting iPads to go one-to-one. When looking at the school-based Bring Your Own Device program, my district does have a district-wide Bring Your Own Device program, and the majority of students that were surveyed actually do bring their own device. In fact, 80% of students bring their own device. That is actually despite the fact that they are not able to use their device or even have it in their possession during the school day. It is to remain in their lockers. The only time that they're allowed to have their device is during the lunch period. This has some differences between the survey results, but in looking at the survey results, the schools that did not have a one-to-one program, the majority of them also did not have or allow students to bring their own device to school. And so in looking at the district-based one-to-one device program, we currently have a program in place. It is in the process of expanding right now. We are working to go one-to-one in grades 5 through 12, but there is no plan to implement or to go one-to-one from kindergarten through 4th grade at this time. So my district is kind of focusing on the 5th grade through 12th grade in the one-to-one, and the lower grades would have access to devices but not a dedicated device at all times. And looking at the district-based Bring Your Own Device program, my district has a district-wide Bring Your Own Device program like I indicated before, And a majority of the secondary students bring personal devices to school, but it's really up to the school's discretion in each school's student handbook to determine what the use of those devices is going to be. So individual schools can decide how, and when those devices will be used within the school days, whether that be for personal use or for educational use as well. In looking at the impact of digital content, there are many similarities are evident between my district and that of the survey results. But my district had a lower percent of respondents agreeing to the statements in every category that was asked. This is kind of interesting. That maybe my district is not quite as comfortable with technology as other districts are. That could be the fact that we're pretty a recent adopter of technology and going one-to-one with devices, and so we're still kind of in that learning phase right now, kind of working through bugs and kinks at the different grade levels at this moment. And looking at some teacher survey results or staff survey results of the top benefits of digital content, they in many ways mirror the survey results fairly well. They teachers indicated the top categories would be varying the delivery method and having the ability to have individualized instruction. But most of the categories were rated fairly high. However, there were some teachers that indicated that the technology and the devices and digital content was used more as toys for students than for actual learning. And there were some teachers that indicated through the other category of responses that the digital content was just not for them. So some of the top concerns about digital content that my district has, and compared to those to the survey results, my district was very concerned with equity, and that was very similar to the survey results. In fact, it was a little bit higher than the survey results of equity. But then they were also very concerned with content working on all devices, and that was a difference compared to the survey results. And some of that is due to my school district-wide. We are actually PC based, but we have adopted the iPads, and so sometimes the Apple products and the PCs struggle to work together, and we're seeing some of those issues at this time. And looking at the subject areas where teachers are looking for digital content, many of the subject areas are looking for digital content. They're not maybe utilizing them right now, but they are looking for some digital content. Language arts and reading being the top category in my district, followed by social studies, then science, and then math of the core classes. But we also have other groups, whether it be the library media, the foreign language, or special education. Well, they're looking for the digital content to use within their own classes and curriculum. And these are similar to the survey results, with a notable difference of math, which was kind of explained earlier, that the math teachers are kind of book-based right now, don't really use digital content or devices at this time. And so areas where teachers are looking for digital content to support literacy, we have a lot of teachers looking for digital content to support literacy, actually more than the survey results, significantly more. And we really look for that struggling readers area. The other categories were kind of lower, language acquisition, ESL, and since we're not one-to-one at the lower grade levels, nor do we have any plans to be, the digital content for early readers, there's not very many teachers looking for that digital content for early readers, as they don't have access to the devices as the upper grades in my district do. And so for future digital priorities, on the last bit of data, future digital priorities, my district, both the administrators and the teachers, labeled professional development as the top priority for the future. I think a lot of this has to do with just learning how to use the technology that we have. We've adopted a lot of new technology recently within the last few years. We have a lot of new, kind of exciting things, but we don't have a lot of training, nor do we know how to use it all, at least effectively. And so that is a very important thing for both the administration and the teachers, is just that professional development, looking how we're going to use this technology better. And the other results kind of mirror the survey results fairly well, but they're the categories uh, that kind of stick out as kind of outliers can be the independent student choice reading at the secondary level. We're kind of starting a new initiative actually the second semester of this year, and then kind of really into it next year, of kind of some student choice learning. And so that's kind of a big role in our district right now. And so I think that's why you're getting those kind of outlying categories here, as well as the student and educator created materials. We're kind of moving towards in a lot of content areas of student directed learning. And so that actually created materials kind of falls into that category as well. And so my district kind of mirrors the report in many ways, but also has some key differences. And some of those differences are for the professional development of the future, to kind of help alleviate some fears and actually get that digital content in the classrooms more regularly. Thank you for listening.